Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here and being here with us today to come up with creative solutions to the childcare crisis. So my name is Martis McLean. Everybody knows me, and everybody calls me Tess. I'm a retired family childcare provider. I have been in the field for 28 years. And ever since I became a family childcare, it was my mission to elevate the field. Because I don't want people to see us as babysitters. We are more than babysitters. We do really take care of the children in our care. We help them, not just their academic and social, emotional, physical growth, but also we wear many hats and help families to be able to learn the tools that they need to be able to consistently raise their children in developmentally and age-appropriate ways. So before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Ines Palmarin and Colinda Wiki. They are our champion in making this work a success. They have been supporting us in every way possible, from funding to coaching to technical assistance, and every time that we have questions, they are there to answer it for us or get us the resources or the people that can answer, our questions. I also would like to thank our champions, William Cortesia and Francisco Ramos, who has helped us when we were applying for our grant for the Leaders for Equitable Local Economies. And because of their wise, suggestions, recommendations, and advice to what we should put in our applications, we were able to successfully complete and got got awarded the funding. I also want, of course, to thank Beth Robbins for being my partner, and Louisa for making sure that we have our community members get involved if they are interested in the childcare program, to send us their names. And so far, we have graduated 80 participants in our program, and most of them are in the immigrant communities. Most of them speak Spanish and only Spanish. So we offered bilingual program, and that's why I'm very grateful to our champions, Francisco Ramos and Dr. William Cortesia, who did the English and sometimes Portuguese translation for us. I also want to acknowledge Jim Reagan for becoming our fiscal sponsor, who, without the fiscal sponsorship, we're not going to be able to even implement the program. Yes, and the Seven Hills and our, future collaboration with Seven Hills. I also want to acknowledge all our coaches who can't be here today because they are, family childcare providers, and it's very hard for them to take a day off because nobody else can take care of the other children because the other parents have to go to work. I also want to thank our funders, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, for giving us the fund for the training part of the program, and the United Way of Central Massachusetts, and the Greater Worcester Community Foundation, and the City of Fitchburg. Thank you, Liz, for making sure that we have enough funds to have the start-up grant funding for our graduates to be able to tap into financial, resources, so that they will be able to make changes to their space or buy the materials that they need to be able to successfully get their licenses. Also, I would like to extend our gratitude to our collaborators, Joni Latimer Brady at the Mount Wachusett Community College for professional development piece of the program, Julie Fauché at Mock, and Marlene Costa at Seven Hills for talking to our graduates about why, another option besides private pay is signing up with the system where they can get children who has vouchers. And Urban College for their CDA program. I also want to thank Sarah Volkinen for her responsiveness, whenever I have questions, that pertains to the challenges that our graduates were facing. And of course, I would like to be able to thank all the training participants and our graduates. You all are instrumental for the success of our program. Thank you. I also want to express my appreciation to all of you who are here today to celebrate the impact of the work that our team has done in the past year and a half. We are very excited to share our latest developments and explain how this progress will lead us into our next phase. We are eager to share the details and get your input on whatever improvements we can make. As key stakeholders in the childcare industry, your viewpoints are very important to us. Please feel comfortable raising questions and sharing your thoughts and ideas with us. We are very excited to partner and collaborate with all of you towards the next phase of our program. The activities today will include remarks from Ines to give you an overview of the LELE initiative, a presentation from Beth Robbins to keep you updated about our work, remarks from our mayor, Stephen DiNatale, and from our collaborators, Luisa Fernandez, Dr. William Cortesia, and Francisco Ramos. Then we will have lunch, followed by remarks from Colleen Dawicki to start our networking session. We hope that you will all stay for this networking session to help address and find creative solutions to the challenges and barriers that our graduates and other aspiring childcare provider continues to face in starting and maintaining their small family childcare business. Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you, Inez. And as the director of the LELE, Tess, sorry, I'm trying to introduce Inez tonight. So thank you to Tess and for her opening remarks. And I want to echo the thanks and the gratitude, not only for you being here, you all being here, but also for our champions who've had a very instrumental role, and Inez and Colleen, obviously, being our fearless leaders through this pilot program. So without further ado, Inez Palmares is going to say a few words.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Truly a pleasure to be here today in front of all of you. Mr. Mayor, thank you for having us here. And I see Brian from our advisory group and our fiscal agent has been supportive of the work that Tess and Beth have been doing, Seven Hills. So also Newview, who has something very special. They've been working on supporting local residents in projects that they care about and creating amazing leadership through the Steward program, and that's where we met Beth and Tess. So congrats to the organization for all the amazing work they continue to do. I am Ines Palmarin. I am working on this pilot, Leaders for Equitable Local Economies, with my colleague, Colleen Dawicki. We've been at it for about 2 years. We are so proud of Beth and Tess's work. Driving up here today from Boston, I just kept thinking, what more can I say about these women that I don't tell them every time I see them? And you'll hear a little bit more about that in a minute. But at the Fed, we care about people and employment. We care about low and income families. We care about the income and prosperity of our residents in the region. So when working places where we work out of community development, we started noticing that there were some local sort of issues, including how to support local leaders, new leaders, and conversations around decision making. So for me and Colleen, it only made sense that we dig in and try to figure out how to do that. I would say that our advisory group, very diverse, all very interested in economic prosperity and how to sort of do that in an inclusive way. From earlier on said we have to pay people for their time. So the pilot was 18 months, and we offered stipends to our participants. Also, we know and came in knowing that people have solutions locally. So it was really about how do we support their work and partner in true partnership and provide what they needed to get their work done, not us coming with our own sort of agendas. The other thing I would say is that this 18-month pilot, we've been in 5 cities, we're in 4 cities, we have 5 teams. Beth and Tess at the beginning, and I'll talk about them now. It was an interesting pair. We had one of the other criteria was that we wanted people to pair up or have a couple people at least on their team, just because the work is hard, and we wanted people to just have somebody to support them along the way. When I met them the first time, I said, "Wow, this is an interesting couple collaborators here." One, Tess is very tenacious, as you all know. She's not shy, and Beth is the nurturer in the team. And it's been beautiful to watch them care so much about the work. That's what they focused on, the children and families that they want to do the work for. And they complement each other very well because they respect each other and respect the work that they're doing, and they really take it to the next level as far as commitment. Childcare, as you all know, so essential to how cities can improve economically, and employment. Everybody talks about going back to work, and that's one piece. There's also a community health piece. I know for me, when I had childcare right next door, it allowed me more time with my son before I dropped him off, right? So there's a piece that we should also be thinking about when we think about childcare. Development of children is so important, and making sure that they have cultural sort of a piece of that and who they are as part of their everyday lives. An opportunity for advancing women, especially women of color. One of the things that I love about this program is that 2 women who did not speak any Spanish took on this challenge and actually found champions in their community to help them figure out how to deliver this program. And one thing I would say, when we had our last graduation, 2 things that I left with that really touched me. One of the participants came up to me and said, because of this program, I'm now enrolling in community college because I can see myself advancing in this field. Before this, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with myself. So that's one piece. The other piece is the room itself just embodied what Fitchburg should be proud of. It was a diverse group of families, people that care about each other, people that are thinking about the future of Fitchburg and the children. And those are 2 things that always will stick with me as we depart. But again, today's about celebrating these amazing women. We have been fortunate to work with them and helping them develop their capacity, think about ways to strategically move forward, celebrate along the way. As I said, this work is not easy. Sometimes it's very hard, and we say just celebrate those small wins, and it'll get you here. I'm so happy to see this room and all the people that are here because it shows that they're doing something right, and we should be learning from that today and really figuring out how we can better support their work. The last thing I would say is that systems, these days, a lot of people talk about systems, equity, inclusiveness. We all know some of this stuff has not worked. And here you have 2 women that have proven with little money, $31,000. That's what we gave this program. We're offering a little bit more. Maybe you guys can match that today. But with $31,000, they've graduated, and they have participants that have they've changed people's lives. I mean, to say that you've done a round of sessions, that you already have 80 participants, amazing. I mean, I've been in economic development for a long time. And I say this again, everywhere I go, hundreds of thousands of dollars to organizations, they tell you they can't find 5 people. So there's something special happening here. I want to also encourage you all in the room to find ways to be resourceful to Beth and Tess. And there's something that I really truly believe in, is that we work together, we work better together. And I want to leave that in this space. These 2 women figured out how to get it done. And there's a lot of very smart people here with the resources and with a lot of experience. And I think they would benefit from hearing from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Inez. That was wonderful for you to share your personal, your personal and your professional insights. So thank you so much. We will get into the presentation now. We want to be respectful of our mayor's time and have the presentation for you. Let's see if I can do this. So if you look on the screen now, this is actually our introduction slide to the LELE program. It's a pilot initiative, and Leaders for Local Economies, or LELE, is an initiative aimed at supporting and strengthening the leaders taking on the critical work of rebuilding economic systems in Massachusetts' smaller cities. So it's about making those systems work better for residents who have been excluded. So as Inez said, this was a really specific program. 5 cities were chosen. We were one of 5 cohorts that began this. And they have been phenomenal in the sense that women in leadership is representative of a big part of what's going on today in our professional workforce, right? And I've worked with a lot of leaders in the community and professionally, and Inez and Colleen have made such great, not only partners in learning and aligning us with the right training and sources to be able to get all our resources met or all our questions answered, but they've also been personally encouraging too. So the idea that that we've developed a really close professional, personal relationship in terms of the heart work, right? Because all of us know if you're in this field, nonprofits are working for large populations, it really is heart-centered work that needs to be looked at through that lens as well. So that's LELE, and that's what they're about. So our story. So the Child Care Entrepreneur Steward Program was born in 2021 in October as a direct response to the inequity affecting quality child care options in underserved populations. So as Tess was explaining, she has over 20 years, over 2 decades in the business, 23 years. And then also the people that we've partnered with, Gretchen and Angelica, Gretchen Rodriguez and Angelica LaCourse, are 2 coaches that also have combined decades of years in the childcare industry. So they had direct firsthand experience with the community of Fitchburg and also with parents and childcare providers and what their challenges are. And what they found and what the studies say is that the primary population that is affected the most by lack of child care are women and families of color, including the immigrant population, right? So that was a real red flag. So the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston issued a request for proposals inviting local leaders to work cooperatively to create a more equitable local economy. And Tess saw the opportunity to use her experience and use the program that she'd been thinking about to kind of launch that into the next level. Our champion, Francisco Ramos from New Views, passed along the grant opportunity. We applied together for the grant, and we ended up getting chosen out of many other applicants. So it was a real honor to get the word that we were chosen to do this work. The Fitchburg team was one of, as I said, one of 5 representative cities, and it is a pilot, which really makes it unique because it's been very adaptable. We've had to be very adaptable, and we've had to kind of think on our toes and listen directly what the population says and what our participants are saying they need. And we've worked very closely with Inez and Colleen to make sure that we're listening and that we're providing the right resources for them. So our vision is, in a nutshell, our vision is this: if every aspiring family child care provider serving underprivileged families has access to a supportive learning environment, then every licensed provider will be successful in operating culturally and linguistically responsive childcare to stimulate a more equitable local economy, right? So that's a mouthful. We may need to condense that down a little bit, but it kind of has all the components we want people to know. And we stress the culturally and linguistically responsive childcare piece to really speak to the idea that you're an immigrant family, for example. You're coming over from your home, your country of origin. You're in a strange country. You speak only Spanish or another language. Don't know any English. Not only is it difficult to find any kind of services or resources, right? Because if they're not apparent, people have to kind of search for them. But you also have children that may only speak Spanish. So now, even if you do find a child care provider, they may or may not speak Spanish. So if you can imagine being in a strange country, not knowing the language, sending your child to a child care facility or provider that doesn't know their language. So, and they're surrounded by children that don't know their language. So that was really one of the keys that we wanted to address, and really equipping these women, primarily Spanish-speaking women, with the resources and the tools to be able to do just this. Our whole team is not represented here. Gretchen and Angelica, as I spoke of before, are coaches, and they have their own full-time daycare provider businesses, very successful ones, I might add. And so they're doing their thing, but we obviously have Francisco Ramos and Dr. William Cortezia here representing, and there's me and Marites. Our recipients, excuse me. So who are our recipients? I cannot say that word today. I don't know what's going on. Who are our recipients and what barriers do they face? So mostly, as we spoke about, immigrant women with no or very limited English, women of color in particular who primarily speak Spanish. And the thing that we noticed in all of our participants as we got to know them, that a lot of them were early childhood education professionals in their country of origin. And they did not know how to transfer their credits over and use that education that they worked so hard getting in this system here, in this country. So one of Joni Latimer Brady, who Marites mentioned, she's our point person at Mount Wachusett. She's aligned them with people that can actually translate for them and let them know about their experience and the benefits of transferring their credits. So that was really inspiring. That was an inspiring part, as Inez mentioned, about the education piece. And driven mothers who are trying to make a better life for themselves, their families, and their communities. So that was really key, because what we found is there was a lot of pride and family pride with these women, that they knew, they had an understanding, they knew they were good moms, and they could transfer that anywhere, right? Even if they couldn't transfer their education, or they had a good hard time getting positions that were only Spanish speaking, or they were good moms, they knew how to do that, and their moms knew how to do that. And they, so I think that was one of the reasons why this was so attractive, and why we still have people coming out of the woodwork, more and more participants. We don't have to market or advertise, they come to us. Because word of mouth speaks volumes, and also it was for this piece, they're really excited for the opportunity, and also to have the opportunity to not struggle with childcare for their own children, right? So now they can use the slots that they've created through getting licensed to be home with their own children. So, so that's who our recipients are. The barriers they face is, as we already mentioned briefly, lack of access to multilingual, cultural responsive training. So one of the things we found out is there's no Spanish translation for first aid and CPR in this area. So folks that want to be in the health-related field, or for, in this case, to become licensed, they need to take that course. And we offered through the Fitchburg State University campus, and with Dr. William Cortezia's help and translation, we offered the first Spanish-speaking first aid CPR training. So landlord opposition is a big one. Sometimes they have their license. Our graduates have their license, but they can't operate within their homes because the landlords are opposing that. Institutional barriers, understanding regulations, having somebody that's higher up in the chain, or somebody in a position of authority that speaks Spanish that can, talk to them about what their options and opportunities are. And also discomfort using online technologies and limited access to online platforms. So they either don't have laptops, they don't have computers, or they just don't know how to kind of navigate that technological piece in order to make the things happen that need to happen. So what we do, we tried to narrow this down. We have a three-pronged approach to train and support childcare entrepreneurs. So the first one is we teach participants how to develop business plans, and we share knowledge that they need to understand for regulatory and licensing requirements, and that's a big part of it. So the training is interesting because we've had attendees come back time and time again. Sometimes they want to come and they want to join us because the community, the feeling of belonging and community is something they enjoy. They may or may not necessarily need the information, but it's a good sign for us because they want to be in the room. They want to, they want to continue to learn the bits and pieces they might not have understood the first time around. The ongoing coaching and technical assistance, that's really a key piece we're finding, because the one-on-one coaching with Gretchen and Angelica is really phenomenal. It's that connection with the community that they have, that Luisa Fernandez is here with us right now. She can fully understand that. She was the one that helped us bring these women in to speak with them, because she earned the trust. And then once they got into our program, we began to earn the trust from there and to keep that trust. So thank you to Luisa again, by the way, for you always being a champion of these projects. So, and then financial assistance. So the unique part was that because we were gifted, or we were granted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, we were able to build in some startup funds for women that met all the requirements, had their license, did the, the pass-through for the federal regulations, $3,500 to be able to assist them to open up their own business, whether that be small improvements, small regulatory, like changes to their structure in order to accommodate children. So that's been really key. So this is our timeline. It's a little bit jumbled, and a few things are bold that shouldn't be, so bear with the structure here, but there was a lot to put on. So in October in 2021 is when we got the notification of our award. And we started right off the bat. We hit the ground running in November of 2021, which was our first child care entrepreneur training. Tess, I believe we had 28 at the first training. We have 28 women, primarily Spanish speaking. I would say 98% of our participants and graduates are Spanish speaking. And so we went through 8 weeks of that. We tried to get some feedback from them, see what we could do better the next time. And we had so much demand that we were held to task by doing our second child care entrepreneur training in March of 22. Then again in June of 22, and each one had reasonably the same amount of people in each cohort, so at least 20 or more. And then the fourth in March of 2023, and then we decided, and we had thought about this beforehand, that the women that were graduating, they were equipped with the tools, they were equipped, the 8 weeks of training goes through the licensing process, holding them by the hand, goes through what kind of, regulations they need to follow, the whole process from what materials they need to one-on-one coaching. So after that, we realized they still need business plan training, because these are new businesses, right? So they needed the training and the know-how to be able to balance their books, to know how to write a business plan. So we helped them with that in January 2023. And then our second business plan training was just started in June. And the eighth goal that we have is we're already set up to do a fifth child care entrepreneur training. And that's because, like I said, this is a very small community. What we've learned about this community in particular is that it's not, there's so many people that are fighting for equal opportunities and fighting to try to find a voice, right? And this program provides the vehicle for that, among all those other things. And what happens is the word of mouth is so much more powerful, because it's such a close-knit community, and they're really talking to each other about this exclusive opportunity that they feel they've enjoyed, right? So who has been impacted by our work and how? First of all, I'd like to ask any questions from the group. Does anybody have anybody personally that's affected by the lack of childcare in the local area? You do?
I hear about it all the time online. People are constantly asking, where can we get childcare services? I have a voucher, especially if you have a voucher. It's hard to find a lot of people that will accept a voucher. Okay. And I've recently seen, in the past year or so, a lot more businesses that are advertising for offering childcare services. So.
Good to know, good to know. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Anybody else can speak personally to that? Yes?
So many of my friends are having kids and have toddlers, and so just trying to get that child care slot lined up, even for folks who have funds and have access to a car, it's just impossible. And some of my friends have had to leave the workforce for longer than they expected, because it just is cheaper for them to leave than pay for the child care.
Right. Thank you. So it's not only, our vulnerable populations or our underserved populations, it's folks that have the means and have all the resources set up for them. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Have any stories? No? Okay. So this is who has been impacted by our work. We have 9 women that have become licensed and operational. 4 of those women have received their family child care assistant licenses. So really it's not only just about the child care businesses, right? It's about the inspiration that we've provided for some of our participants to go back to school in some cases or go get their CDA to become child care assistants. And adding quality people to the field that also know how to speak Spanish and can speak to our Latino population in this area, which is very prevalent. Mayor, do you know? Are you sure? Do you know what the population is? I think we have 70 of Latinos in this area.
70?
Is it 70? No, it's probably.
Percentage. No, we're probably, the last census, it's probably closer to 35–40%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're giving a voice to many people in the community.
Absolutely. Certainly our schools, 70–75%? That's right. Oh, yeah. But very, very, toward that number.
Yeah.
For the educational world. The high school in particular. High school in particular has a number of Spanish students.
Yes, they're having a lot. Thank you, Mayor. They are having a lot of issues. So a few of the graduates are currently working in center-based public school system. 100 more children are experiencing, this is a big one, 100 more children are potentially experiencing culturally appropriate, high-quality childcare, right? So those immigrant families, those Spanish-speaking families can now feel comfortable when they go back to work, leaving their children in an appropriate childcare facility or home. Over 100 parents can now join the workforce. So those families that otherwise wouldn't be able to want to work, ready to work, have the qualifications to work, they don't have the time. I mean, they don't have the access to childcare. So, and now we're reflecting a more diverse, population appropriate kind of bilingual employee base. So we have more people that are equal representation of what's in our community. So it's starting to look a little bit different. A few more slides, folks. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Over the next 2 years, this is what our plans are. We will increase the number of high-quality, local minority, and women-owned childcare businesses in the area. Number 2, we'll connect families with high-quality childcare so they can actively participate in the economy. And we're planning on also taking that advocacy piece a little bit further for childcare providers to be more included in the planning, so to have more of a voice in the planning and the decision-making that goes on behind the scenes. So those are really our goals. And then finally, with your support, what we're hoping to do and what we will do is continue to tailor training content to the needs of aspiring family child care providers. And that's very important because a lot of times if you don't tailor that and you're not in touch with the pulse, you're not on the pulse of what your community wants or what your participants want, it's not going to work. And empower graduates through increased coaching and peer support. And this is a huge one because when people feel empowered, they want to do more. They want to participate more. They want to, share the word with other people as well. And lastly, we'll advocate for legislation that empowers and protects childcare entrepreneurs. So that is probably my phone going off. I apologize. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for what's been going on with us. Does anybody have any questions so far on that? Absolutely. Mary Jo?
Yes. I understand that the whole focus of the LELE program is family childcare, home-based. But when I think of business plans, I often think of micro enterprise, small businesses, and as they grow and evolve and things happen. Mm-hmm. Might some of the graduates join forces with each other into, I'll call them brick and mortar child care facilities? Maybe not initially, but is that sort of a progression that might occur.
Something that we can raise, that's a question that we definitely raise.
It's not for everyone, but I mean, you know, that might be, because small businesses, you know, in the home, and then we see with other home-based businesses in Fitchburg, sometimes if they flourish, they may, I don't want to say outgrow, but have higher aspirations for what next.
Yes.
And so maybe no individual wants to take on a whole brick and mortar facility, but you've got multiple graduates, and I could see them collaborating into maybe a partnership of some sort.
Yes, that's a very good point, Mary Jo. Thank you. That is a good question. We have been spinning our wheels around that and figuring out how to address those folks that are renting, right? They don't have a home. And maybe having collaboration, as you said, the community building aspect is really, really important. And that would also facilitate those connections to strengthen that.
So 2 of our graduates actually are friends. So she's waiting for her friend to be able to open her childcare so she can be her assistant. So they are already, you know, collaborating with each other.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for the great presentation. Could you speak to sort of the financial sustainability of this model? I think we all know the challenging economics of childcare, the fact that it's extremely expensive and yet educators are paid very low wages. Are the business plans designed such that these entrepreneurs earn a living sustainable wage given the cost of living, very expensive health insurance, especially if you're purchasing on the individual or small group market? The Boston Fed just came out with a report about the need to help educators save for retirement, for example. So I'm curious if you could speak a little bit to the sustainability of these types of models.
Absolutely. I think we're doing everything in our power to align them with the resources and to teach them the skills to be able to have the most success within that model. And the coaches that we do have successful childcare businesses. So it's about aligning them with resources and people that can improve their chances of success. Tess, you could speak a little bit more to those numbers, I think.
Yes. So this is why we need a lot of support right now, because I know that a lot of my colleagues do not have retirement accounts. And we are trying to make sure that we are, you know, getting the resources that we need so that we can maybe partner with Melinda Weber for their shared services to help not just licensed family childcare providers, but aspiring family childcare providers, so that once they open their own businesses, they have the skills and the tools that they need to be able to create a business plan and actually, you know, embed the retirement plan in that business plan. Because most of our colleagues right now, licensed childcare providers do not have retirement, just like you said. I think it's called Kim Lucas who did the report and posted it in the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston's website. So we do not know how they're going to be, you know, sustainable, and that's why we need your help figuring out. Thank you so much for your questions.
Thank you.
I hope that you will be able to help us figure that out.
Yes, so that leads me to the last slide before we break for lunch. We will have the our Honorable Mayor of Fitchburg come up and speak before, just in case you can't stay through lunch. We hope you can, but we know you're very busy. So what we want you to kind of think about for the strategic session, one of the things is, what do you consider one of the biggest challenges in influencing favorable outcomes here? So some of you brought up certain questions or challenges, and we'd just like to tap your brain to see what you feel like the biggest challenge would be. So as stakeholders in the effort, how can we create more equitable opportunities within the childcare industry? So we'd like to invite you to stay after lunch to brainstorm with us and to kind of get a sense from you where you're at. You can enjoy some delicious dinner after we have the mayor come up and speak and say a few words. So could I have everybody welcome the mayor of Fitchburg, please?
Probably have your lunch, finish it and everything by the time I get I'm on the other side. Thanks everyone for joining us today. It's great that we have the opportunity to showcase one of our premier buildings in the City Hall complex. And something that I often say when I speak publicly, that Fitchburg partners with community better than anyone. And this is demonstrated certainly today with the folks that are here. I don't want to name every people because I'm going to miss someone, but you know who you are. Be it known that we really truly appreciate that partnership, and we couldn't be happier with the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and them choosing the city of Fitchburg. And obviously they realize the need that exists not just here, but throughout the Commonwealth, throughout the nation for that matter. Representative Higgins is here today. She knows better than anyone to take this message to the State House and promote how we need to improve childcare initiatives for people, certainly our minority community. And I pointed out the high school is probably close to 70% Spanish. It's that's significant. So this gives us such a great opportunity. And again, Tess, you've been working this issue for, God, what, 30, 40, 50 years? That's right. You've been emailing me constantly, and so she knows what she's talking about. And also, the commitment exists certainly for the city of Fitchburg with community development and our effort to try and be as helpful as possible to make people that choose this path to be successful. And Tess and Beth, thank you. Where's Beth? There you are. Okay. Thank you for your efforts as well. And thank you for inviting everyone here. And we're wishing for great things from this program. We hope it's sustainable. And we'll do all we can to see that happen. So again, thank you. Welcome here to Fitchburg, and enjoy your lunch. Thank you.